most governmental entities that are much larger than ours are not doing it. We're probably far advanced now.
I would think. I mean, we have the online storage and things which people want and access.
Yeah.
Ready to keep going?
Okay, ready to go.
Yep. I'd like to call to order the June 7th regularly scheduled Sylvania Township Board of Trustees meeting.
Call the roll of Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Haddad.
Here.
Mr. Genowine.
Here.
Mr. Simcoe. Here. Okay. Next one, the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the May 17th meeting minutes. Anybody see any changes?
I don't have them, so I have to say yes.
Okay. All right, so I will offer a motion
To approve.
to approve the minutes as they stand.
Second.
Okay, calling roll. Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Haddad.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes. Additions or deletions to the agenda? Do we have any?
I want to add something about the stormwater thing, and
That's already on here.
I want to add about the incident over on Silica Road about the storm. That's all. Under probably roads, that's fine.
Okay.
Public works.
Hearing of the public on agenda items.
We have nobody on assignment.
Okay. I would like to call an audible here and ask the fire chief to come up and give his presentation so he can get moving. I understand there's a couple fires burning and...
Yes, sir. Springfield has 2 working fires right now. They requested our mutual aid, and we have a large field fire out west that we have 2 units at right now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to I'll move on real quickly. I have Resolution 11-097. Sylvania Township Fire Chief has requested authorization to sell 2 pieces of apparatus, a mini pumper F9, which is one of our older spare mini pumpers, and truck F7, that is the old tandem TDA truck that we purchased to go ahead and use as a training device. We'd like to go ahead and put both of those on gov deals.
Anybody have any comments or how much do we expect to get for them, or what do you?
It's really hard to say what the market will bear for it, but I did talk to Barry Kuzno, Chief Kuzno from Springfield Township, and they had a older car that they expected to get about $1,000 for, and they ended up getting about $4,000. So I'm hoping to get a good price for it. I can put a minimum bid on the TDA because I think that's something that we'd want to sell for not just a couple dollars. So I plan on having a minimum bid on that.
Sounds good. All right. I'd like to offer Resolution 11-097, authorization to sell the mini pumper and spare truck for at auction.
Second.
Sorry.
Okay, calling roll. Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Haddad.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
The second thing I have real quick is I'd like to thank the board for coming to the open house on Saturday. I think it was very well attended. Everyone that went through and we took through the engine house seemed to be very pleased with the way that we spent their money. So I appreciate everybody being there. And now we have a regular alarm going off, so I'll see you later.
I think that was nice. I want to say, add a comment, but you can go. I thought Ishmael across the street gave the food.
Yes,
That was nice to
yes.
donate it for free.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Nice event and good luck.
How's yours pick up that stuff? I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
Then we should go back to the zoning.
Zoning.
Well, do you want me to finish on fire department since we're there real quick?
Oh.
I went to city council last night in Sylvania, and they announced 3 sites that they wanted to have the fire station at. So do you want to talk about those later, or what do you want to do?
I would
we have
prefer that communication goes through John. I
They
mean,
met-
I've
they
gotten
did
a
a public
formal
already.
letter stating their preferences, and I wasn't that
Right.
pleased with it, but I think that if we
And-
blur the waters here,
We
you know.
have an
we-
We've already
executive
announced it
session.
publicly yesterday.
Okay,
We had an executive session on the purchase of property,
okay,
which is an executive session item.
Okay,
okay.
I just want to let you know they announced it publicly yesterday.
Zoning?
You have the monthly report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the report. For the week, or for the month, we did 28 permits, 1.9 million, total 101 permits for the year, $8 million in valuation, 14 violations for the month. Grass is beginning to grow now. And that's really about it.
We seeing any uptick in housing starts or anything, or?
I think we had 3 last month. All 3 substantial houses. I think it was like 1.4 million for 3 houses, so
Nice.
How about commercial activities? Have you seen much?
not a lot of new construction. For the last year, it's been redevelopment. Many of the vacant places are being leased and then redone inside, a lot of those.
Yes.
But not a whole lot of new stuff.
Thank you.
There's a rezoning request to be considered tonight. It has been advertised. This involves Windswept Farms and a change in zoning from A3 to A4. This has been approved by the Planning Commission and approved by the Zoning Commission. This is a public hearing, so we'll need to call a public hearing on this matter before we can proceed.
What are you asking us to do?
It'll need to be opened up as a public hearing.
Okay, let's open it up for a public discussion then. Does anybody have anything to say? No, it's not.
Oh.
Penny?
Give us a quick overview, what is it?
Can you give us a quick overview of what they're proposing? or-
Sure. This is I guess technically it would be a land split that was done a while back, and it was done under the A4 zone, or A3 zoning. The applicant now is requesting A4 zoning to go with a lower lot width requirement. It's, if you're familiar with Windswept Farms, it's the property on the right side as you drive in. It goes back probably 1,200 feet, something like that. There really are no zoning issues that's been brought out in all the hearings. The upshot of this is probably they're going to be creating one more lot, I would guess, in that from 5 to 6 lots.
And are they still larger lots? I think most of them in there are 5 acres. Will they continue to be?
Well, they're not 5, but I think they're going to all be over 1.
Okay. Okay. You guys have any discussion or? Close the hearing. We'll close the open discussion.
I move passing of Resolution 11-099, approve the change zone request for our 7800 block of Britt Road, Pennsylvania, Ohio, from A3 to A4.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Haddad.
Yes.
Mr. Genoway.
Yes.
The next items, actually, it's just a notification to you that I'm going to be turning a couple of violation cases over to the prosecuting attorney to write final letters to the applicants before any kind of court action would be taken. After those certified letters are sent out, if we don't get anything back, I'll be back to you to get permission to go ahead and file. One is a habitual situation that we had for a long time. It's on Bilby Way, which is just off Whiteford. Just a number of things laying around the yard, and it's just strewn throughout the yard, and it's been that way for a very long time, and we've written, I don't know, four letters probably, with no action. The other one is what we believe to be an unlicensed vehicle, actually two unlicensed vehicles that have been in place for probably a year now. We've made 2 attempts to go through the notification procedure, and right now we're just thinking, you know, if the prosecutor's letter can't get any action, we're going to have to take action to go after those cars. And as you're aware, we can remove cars and put liens on property if they're unlicensed. So, you know, this will be another 2-week process probably.
You've been getting any calls about grass, long grass? A lot of people have been calling me and I've been referring them over to you?
Yeah.
And backyards and stuff like that from abandoned houses and stuff? Okay. No.
Finally, you have a resolution before you for appointment to our one remaining position on the zoning commission. We've had a number of nominees. I sent you all the remaining applications.
He's already given us
I know, I got the list. I mean, have you guys did a cross-section of who we want on there, or no? Do you want to do a 3 thing and then just put on next meeting?
I don't care.
Is that all right?
Do what, I'm sorry?
Hey, we usually get a spreadsheet with the 3 lists, you, me, and John, and we put down who we prefer to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that
Why
way
don't we have an open discussion, I guess, and maybe just
Go ahead.
take it off the table and...
Whatever you want to do.
Sitting around for a while.
So we've got 5 candidates. John DeSalle, James McGowan, John King, Kevin Tidd, Phil Pascal, and Yusuf, Akram Yusuf. I would probably like to go with John King just because he sat on the board in the past, but I'm open to any of the, I think they're all qualified candidates and think they'd make good representation. But I think looking at John's past service kind of gives him a leg up. But if you guys want to open it up to other candidates.
I think I like Jim McGowan because he wrote the land use plan, and he's understands, maybe a little more than some of the zoning people. But on the other hand, John did write the land use plan when we wrote this back in 2007. So he understands. Of all the board members, I would suggest either Jim or John.
Kevin?
I'll go with John King.
Okay.
Great.
Offer resolution -100, appointing John King to the zoning commission for an unexpired term.
Second?
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
We're now on the monthly report for the road department, Greg, and then he also has an update on the cemetery side.
Good afternoon. Monthly report for 2011, month of May, has been submitted for your review. I'll just briefly discuss some highlights. Cemetery entrance sign has been completed, and I'd like to chat about that a little in depth on the next topic. We are busy with concrete curb repair, and Fire Station 3 finally has a sprinkler system. Worthy notes, Fire Station 2, the underground storage tank, that's for the diesel fuel and gasoline, that has been removed. We're still pending the analytical report. We're optimistic everything will go through smoothly. Worthy notes, Sturbridge Road will be closed down to one lane. You can see scheduled projects coming up, and we completed the spring cleanup, which this year took about 6 weeks to provide. Normandy Road is back, the storm sewer on Normandy Road is back in full operation now. These are just, some other information is posted for your review. Pending your questions, we could move on to the cemetery entrance.
Well, I'd like to make a comment when you were talking about the tanks. I did have some information that I'd like to share with you and with our administrator about taking this tank out. I mean, the tank would stay there, but we'd take the pump out, and it's a pump that's going to have slide cards, passcodes to get in. That way, all vehicles could fill up diesel or gasoline here when we're all done with all these other stations. So we remove our liability and just have it in one location besides the police department for gas. But with that, it'll be all in one spot. We know who gets fuel, we'll know how much they get, what their code was, what time they got it. They can get it 24 hours a day. It's a good system, and it's reasonable. So I'll get that to you, and John, I just want to let you know about that.
Okay, thank you.
And then on the tree incident from the storm, that was another problem, that we had that tree fall over. It fell into the city on Silica Road. I don't know if you guys were aware of that during the storm. And the city picked it up and threw it back on the township side and said, take care of yourselves. And they called.
I guess who gets there first, you know? I don't know.
And Greg said that, he couldn't get to it. I felt bad for the people, so I took the tree out myself. So that was done, and they were very appreciative, so.
Hopefully you paid him for the firewood.
Huh?
Hopefully you paid him for the firewood.
If you would have done the firewood in 95-degree weather, you wouldn't have given him a dime.
Okay.
Moving to the next item, Mr. Beck, if you could activate those programs, please. Here's a brief, this is very brief, description of the cemetery entrance. I believe there's a slide before this that shows the previous. This is the slide before.
Let's see.
Just press play.
Let's see it.
Just go backwards.
It'll go by itself.
Okay, anyways, we poured a concrete, base with the hollow blocks. I think you have it on slideshow. Or
I did, I just stopped it.
And you're our tech guy.
You can only play the slides as you're getting them, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys done a good job. It looks great over there.
Actually, I had some comments. I really wanted to make some comments here. Okay, here we go. Here is the existing sign, as you can see, throughout the area, throughout the winter months, we received some comments. Nonetheless, we poured a concrete base. Why don't you just stop it, Jim? Just stop it out. Yeah. There's a concrete base here, and there's a hollow block wall underneath the decorative stone. Placing this decorative stone is completely opposite of building, what you'd think correct building methods are. And you start at the top and work your way down, as you can see. So the cap was actually the first piece to be placed, and then we started from the top and worked down on the decorative stone. I believe, Jim, there's also a PowerPoint there showing before and after that might be worthy to show the PowerPoint icon.
You want the movie or the?
Right here, the PowerPoint, right there.
Well, that's what you're on. That one?
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Let's play the movie if we could, please. This is Foreman Dale Nicholas. In his prior life, he was a masonry individual. And Jim, if you could try to stop that when the trowel is perpendicular or vertical, such as right there. As you can see, the mortar stays on the trowel when it's vertical up and down. That's an excellent indication that the mortar is of correct consistency and has the adhesives and the lime and such and mixed in. This is the top row where we start the capping. Also, I just want to point out that Dale, our foreman here, has throughout the years shared his skills with the other utility workers, and as foremen should do. And we are cognizant of that Dale will not be here forever. So those skills are passed on. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. And there is a before and after shot here, if we could get that. I believe that was on a PowerPoint, the before and after shot.
It's playing everything I got, Greg, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's basically all I have then.
Well, I know every good deed does not go unpunished, so we have all gotten the emails about the visibility entering or exiting the cemetery. And I did go up there and drive through myself. I think the line painted on the ground helps, you know, to let people know where to stop and kind of to proceed with caution. And if we just would get a couple more signs up there, it might help. But I don't.
We have a stop sign on the inside and a pedestrian walkway, and Greg is working with the city of Sylvania and the homeowner, and we're trying to resolve it to everybody's satisfaction.
Do we know what sort of car count or traffic count goes back there on a daily basis? I can't imagine that it's a number that's, you know, too substantial, but.
I do not have traffic count. It's very minimal.
I'd say a couple.
Hey, Greg, what if we just put a little mirror up, like in the, you know, hidden drives, like out in the country, you go up and down the hills, you just put a little stand with a mirror where somebody could look at the mirror when they're pulling out. I did the same thing. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but if it's a huge problem, just put a pole on a mirror and we can look left and right and be done with it. Just a thought.
We're looking at all solutions.
Nice job.
Okay. Fire department, police?
Chief, you have anything?
I have nothing. If you have questions for me.
Anybody?
No, just about that Sergeant Austin thing in the paper today. That's all, no big deal.
Where they recovered the ATM?
Yep.
Okay. Administrator?
My first resolution is to enter a contract for property and casualty insurance. As you remember, back in December, we did a 5-month plan at that, 5-month policy at that time, which ended May 31st. Working with Tom Ramsdell, met with him a couple times, and he did a review of different insurance companies, and he has come back and recommend that we stay with the Ohio plan. They held their same price that they gave us back in December, and Tom says that the coverage is excellent, plus they throw in some extra benefits. Last couple days ago, they had a risk guy here meeting with Susan, going over various things that we can do in the township to lower our risk, and they'll be putting that in effect. And at this point, I recommend it would be a 1-year policy, and for $102,755.
I'll offer resolution 11-103, enter into property and casualty contract.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
I'm going to abstain on this one.
Okay. Calling the roll. Well, wait a minute, we did.
You did.
So now it's
We can
passed.
call it again if we want to.
My next resolution is to enter in with ACT Systems for web design for the township. As you are aware of, our township website is antiquated. It's not really user-friendly.
Not cheaper than one.
And for the last few months, we've been talking about doing something to improve it. And I've probably met with 3 or 4 vendors over the last 3 or 4 months. In fact, we had one vendor make a presentation to us. And after reviewing all the different proposals, I think ACT is the one that will provide the needs that we want to update it, make it user-friendly, make it so that people can come online, get forms, whatever they need, and their price was also the best of the other proposals. Baron Black from ACT is here. Do you pronounce it ACT or ACT?
Act.
And if there's any questions, he's here to answer them. And it will be a resolution to design the website at $99 per hour and not to exceed $25,344.
I'll offer Resolution 11-104, authorization to have the administrator contract with ACT for our new website, which we desperately need because I can't stand the one we have.
Second.
I would like to do a little discussion
Sure.
and bring Barron up here and put him on the spot
You
a
can.
little bit.
Might as well get them. Because you hear the importance of this project, can you give us a ballpark on timing? And I know a lot of it is going to have to do with the communication back and forth between the township and ACT, but we're all very anxious to get this thing moving, so if you could give us some ballparks and things, we certainly look forward to getting this thing going.
Well, we've committed on this project, we see it being no more than 256 hours. What I will commit to you is that engineer full-time. He will work on that and nothing else, barring some emergency, for that. I do know he has no scheduled vacation time, so, I would think 2 months, worst-case scenario. Okay? We have taken the liberty, in the interest of time, that we had in our hands, and went ahead and did some proactive things, just to make sure our ducks in a row. One thing we want to do for you good people is, you, the administrator and all, will have access to the website as we build it. So we won't just build a website and say, here you go. We'll build a website, you'll have the address to it, you can go on and look at it, and we can literally have conversations over the phone or remotely, what have you, as you're looking at the same site that we're building for you.
And the main thing that we're concerned about is being able to change that content on the fly.
Your own people,
As
yeah.
the information and topics come up in the township, we'll be able to do
Yeah.
that.
And not just information, photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
as well as verbiage.
This week was a perfect example with the storm that passed through there. We really needed a way to get out and tell the people what's going on. So,
And my hope is that the people will go to the website rather than dialing 882-0031.
Yes.
Let's let them go to the website and let that be a source of information.
yes.
And your staff will be able to do that.
Great.
So
Well, thank
we'll make
you.
it as user-friendly as we can for you.
We're looking forward to it.
Okay, good, thank you. That's true.
You have a first and a second on that.
Oh,
we did.
we'll take a vote, I guess?
Yeah, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Okay, passes.
I have 2 review of liquor permit transfers. Once again, you don't need to take any action on this other than if you want to deny it. Both these liquor permits, the one at 6725 Central and the one at 6710 West Central, have been reviewed by the police and fire department. They have both written letters saying they have no problem with the transfer of the license.
Where's the other one? I see that one there, the bocce.
That's
Oh,
the
the pizza place.
6725.
Amy's.
The 6710 is D.L. and Sons Pizza LLC. Doing business as Amy's Pizza Factory.
American Pizza. Yeah, I don't see any problem with any of them. They just probably did LLCs and stuff.
Yep.
So we don't have to take any action other than the negative
Fine.
actions of that. And with that, I'll turn it over to the fiscal officer for the
We
next
have one more,
resolution.
don't we?
One more there.
Oh, I forgot. As you, one of the most important one. At the last meeting, we had a fact finder report, and we accepted the fact finder report. The Teamsters have accepted the fact finder report. So now that we have both sides agreeing, this will actually be the labor agreement that we have with the Teamsters for the union, and this will be a 3-year agreement with a wage reopener and insurance in years 2 and 3.
I'll offer Resolution 11-105, execute labor agreement with the Teamsters.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Now I'll turn it over to the fiscal officer.
Well, thank you very much, and Mr. Beck is going to review our resolutions on behalf of the fiscal department.
Good afternoon. The first resolution I have is 11-093, and this is to increase the appropriation. The Sylvania Township Fire received an assistance to firefighter grant and wish to spend the monies on equipment. So this is a grant. So we're increasing in their particular grant fund, the 233 fund, the equipment line item of $34,200.
Is this for the 4 extractors?
I really don't know.
This was that grant money I think they got for the air things.
So assistance to firefighters is the special
Yeah.
grant that they got.
It's those air things that they got from, part of them Lucas County, we got the other ones here, but we had to move the money around for that. It's just reappropriated.
Okay.
I'll offer Resolution 11-093, appropriation of unencumbered balance.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Second resolution is 11-094, and this is to also increase the appropriation for an unencumbered balance. And basically, the Sylvania Township Police wants to enhance the protective armor of our SRT officers, which includes new vests, ballistic helmets, and eyewear using federal law enforcement funds. This is not coming out of the grant fund, or it's not coming out of the police fund. It's federal law monies that they have confiscated and received monies for that. The second thing is the insurance company changed the billing cycle, which you approved a 12-month contract earlier with the administrator, which means we're going to have to pay for 17 months worth of insurance in 2011. So I'm having to increase those line items to cover that cost, because I only budgeted for 12. So that would be that particular resolution. So the 225 is the $10,307, and the remaining items are the insurance and property and casualty insurance.
Do they offer any installments or any other payment options?
I don't know.
Can you click that up?
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, got it. So I can see it.
I'd like to offer a resolution for 1194 for the appropriation from the encumbered balance.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Resolution 1195 is transfer of funds, and let me get it here. And this is to cover a couple, 3 items here. We got some unemployment costs in the fire department. We want to transfer some money from, to continue the SRT, which we increased the appropriation. We have some other money in there that we can use. And then the administration needs to cover the cost of the temporary receptionist. We budget monies into a full-time position, and currently we have a temporary, and we're using that money, and that's the 3 items that we're asking to transfer money from other line items for.
Is that amount for unemployment costs, is that a quarterly basis or a half a year?
No,
or
I
is total?
think it's going to be the whole thing.
So if he gets a job, or whoever gets a job before it?
Right.
Okay.
Stupid question, the whole thing being,
What we anticipate for the remainder of the year.
99 weeks.
thank you.
I'll offer Resolution 11-095, transfer of appropriations for the
Various
workers'
funds.
compensation, tools and equipment, and salary.
Second?
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Resolution 11-096 is to approve a payment of a then and now purchase certificate, and this is for the insurance that we just passed a couple of resolutions on. Now we got to pay the bill.
I'll offer resolution 11-096, payment of a then and now certificate for our insurance liability policy,
Second?
because it passed tonight.
Call the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
The final resolution, 11-098, transfer of appropriations in the Road and Bridge Fund, and we're transferring $450 from other expenses to a training line item. Mr. Huffman needs to go to some training.
That's all it's going to cost for Greg's training.
Well, we have some other money.
Just kidding, it was
Yeah.
kidding.
I'll offer resolution 11-098, transfer of appropriations from other expenses to training in the amount of $450.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
Now have open discussion.
Well, who's on here?
This is open.
Discussion. Once we pass that, we don't have anything, we'll hearing.
Al Hayes? Penny?
Nothing at this time because the stormwater utility came after the agenda items. I didn't sign the agenda item. Therefore, non-agenda items, I have the stormwater utility presentation.
Okay.
So, on hold.
Well, I think yes. Okay, so on to stormwater. Ma'am, did you have?
Well, I didn't sign in because I didn't know if I could, but I would like to have a discussion about the village inn.
Okay.
That's
You
open
want
discussion.
to
It's not-
sign in and then take the mic? You're more than welcome to.
My name is Joyce Smothers, and I live directly behind here. I'm going to ask Mr. Haddad to probably abstain from any of this because he's part of that complex back there. I've lived back there for 13 years now. I've had a problem with this Village Inn banned for 13 years, and I'm like up to here with it. I call the police township every Sunday, Fridays, whenever they're playing. They've been playing Saturdays and Sundays now, and it's a nuisance. I just came from a meeting with the Madison condominiums that are just up the road here. They too have a problem with this band that plays all the time, and I want to know what we can do about this. It is an every weekend thing. I can never have any peace and quiet in my home on a Saturday or a Sunday night. They play from 6 o'clock until midnight, from 9 to 1 o'clock. There doesn't seem to be any set things other than it's the same thing for the last 13 years that I've dealt with, that the ordinance says that they can play music until 10 o'clock at night. Nobody has ever addressed. I've had multiple conversations with this board, group of, not you group of people, but Mrs. Contrada, Dee. I've been doing this forever, and I'm just really tired of it, and I don't understand why nobody does anything about it. I understand you're getting tax dollars from the Village Inn. That doesn't give them the right to interrupt everyone's peace and quiet on a Sunday between the hours of 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night. I work 70 hours a week, and I'm tired, and I want to have some peace and quiet on my patio on a Sunday after I get through with an open house or something. And you can't have it. You have the motorcycles squealing, you have the cars going in and out. I have sat in this parking lot with the township police on numerous occasions. They tell me that, yep, it's loud. They understand that, but nobody does anything about it, and I don't understand why. It is every weekend. It starts in March, and it goes all the way through like October. That porch was never supposed to be a permanent fixture, and they slowly, put a roof on it, then they put the walls in, then they put the windows in. It's in the right-of-way. I mean, that was established years ago, but still, nobody does anything about this, and it's constant. Sometimes they have karaoke on Wednesday nights. Sometimes they have it on Thursday nights. The only night they don't seem to play is Friday night. But for the last 3 weeks, they have played on Saturday and Sunday. And I just lost an uncle that could have no peace and quiet while he was passing away because of that band over there. And it's ridiculous that that band is allowed to be that loud. I don't understand why the fire department allows all those people to be on that porch, because it's way over the number that's stamped in the front of the corner of how many people are supposed to be on that porch. But yet nobody does anything about it. The police tell me they can't do anything about it. So who does something about this? This is a nuisance. It is an absolute nuisance to have to listen to that band every single Saturday and Sunday nights. I've had police tell me, well, shut your doors and windows. Well, you know what? I don't want to shut my doors and windows. It's not my fault that they play that loud. They don't need speakers the size of this podium on a front porch like that. Why do we allow that band to play every single weekend and disturb everybody's peace and quiet that they should be entitled to have? If they had a band on that porch once a month, people could live with it. But it's every single weekend. It's one night during the week. Why doesn't anybody do anything about it? I mean, I'm sure that the police department knows my number by heart because I call every single week.
Well, we have two people here who hopefully will be able to help us. Our head of zoning and our police chief.
Well, I've tried to contact the zoning a couple of times, and they don't return my phone calls. Nobody will address this issue. And again, I've contacted Channel 13 and 11 about being here, but I had a meeting at this condominium complex, and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get here, so they didn't want to come if I couldn't specifically say for sure I could make the meeting. And I am going to get them involved. I'm going to get the media involved in this because it's just not fair. And it's been 14 years. I've been trying to do something, and everybody that sits on this panel simply ignores it. Now, nobody ignored it when it was out at the Harley-Davidson place, and all those people out there had a complaint because of the traffic and the noise and the debris that was left behind. That got taken care of pretty quickly, and I don't know why or how that got taken care of when I have submitted petitions from people on this side of the Village Inn, from the church, because people park in there, they litter in there, they throw up in there. People over here in this building, they've done the same thing. They have filed complaints, but nobody does anything about it. And I don't understand why. Why is it that that Village Inn can seem to do anything they want to do in that parking lot? They have high school reunions, they have bands, they have motorcycle gatherings. They seem to do anything that they want to do, and it's never a nuisance. And I'm telling you, it's a nuisance.
Well, first, I want to make note that, your email to us was the first time, that I was aware of it. Obviously, I've known they've been playing music over there for years and things, but it's not one of my frequenting places, so it doesn't bother me, but hopefully Chief, can you add a little insight to this, or what violations, or what are they doing over there that we're not addressing?
Number one, I will tell you that we have written noise ordinance citations over there. Lieutenant Austin wrote a couple of them. It's been a few years ago. I talked extensively with Sergeant Judge 2 weeks ago. In fact, I've got a log here of all the calls we've received on the village end, and I believe they're all from you. Okay.
Most of the neighbors know that I'm the one that will call, because they know that nothing gets done, and they just kind of give up, and I'm just not giving up on this, because I'm sick of it.
That's different than what we've experienced other places. We usually get multiple calls from multiple people. When we've gotten complaints at Centennial Terrace, we used to get complaints, we still get complaints about the Harley Davidson. We got complaints about last Thursday and Friday. They were very, very few and far between, but we had different individuals. In fact, I got an email from one that I've been trying to return the phone call to them. As you know, they were granted a specific number of times that they can get out there. Okay, but as far as the village end, okay, I'm not a trustee and I don't go back, I can't say why, and I have not dictated the terms in the noise resolution, okay? Number one, I will tell you, and I can show you the copy here, okay, the 10 o'clock deadline that you're speaking of relates specifically to work activities, okay? We have gone outside the resolution and said we think 10 o'clock is reasonable if the music is real loud and such too. But the only thing in the current noise resolution that talks about 10 o'clock is no person shall engage in any excavation, exterior construction, exterior building repair or renovation, tree removal activities, lawn care services, trash collection, delivery of goods, site maintenance, excluding the use of snow blowers and snow plows during inclement weather between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. That's not music, okay? Now,
why is nothing addressed about that?
you know what? Just like
Because
State Law, we enforce what is on the books, okay?
And my beef is not with you, my beef is with this. Because there is nothing done in this township on this board, and I go back years with the people on this board. And you guys change people, and you change people, and like I said, I had last year with Contrada, I had a whole conversation with her, and I appeared before this board, and she was going to look into it, and so on, and the ordinance, that's the first time I've ever heard that, because every other time I call, they tell me that it is a noise ordinance.
Well, we, like I said, this is what it specifically says. But I will tell you that if it's very late at night, well after 10 o'clock, usually we do it after, well, just like when we grant exemptions, and Mr. Zeitler can vouch for this, okay, when we grant exemptions, we usually say, hey, you gotta cut it out by 10 to 10:30, I'm talking private parties, I sent 2 over today, things like that through the week, and then we allow it to go to 11 or midnight on weekends, because that seems reasonable. We're trying to balance.
Reasonable for who? I guess that's the question. Okay, the way that they, right. But that's not a nightclub over there. It's supposed to be a restaurant. It's not supposed to be a nightclub where there's music going on and partying all the time.
Since 1940-something.
It's been a bar.
Yes.
But they never had music there until it became the Village Inn.
It's not unreasonable to expect a bar to have music.
Well, if they want to do it, then do it inside. That's the whole issue. They're doing it on an open porch.
Last year,
and it causes nuisance.
Okay. I understand your concerns, but last year we did look into noise ordinance and enforcing those types of things, and they are very difficult, and they're very difficult to enforce, and, Tim, is there anything on the zoning side of things? Are they in compliance? What about the porch being in the right-of-way? I mean, obviously, they must have a permit or something that's allowed them to have that porch for the last as many years as I can remember.
Well, it's been...
Before my time, but I think it was allowed, when did it go?
It's been about 10 years.
2002, something like that.
They applied for a variance back then and had it put in. Yep.
Maybe a lawsuit settlement with the township. There's a settlement.
Yep. Okay.
Check my words here, but I believe it.
Okay. Penny, did you have a comment?
Yeah, John, at one of those meetings prior to you guys, the issue was brought up because also of the burnout.
Yes.
Centennial. And I remember that there was supposed to have been a resolution, okay, that was set. And there apparently, the conversation that I remember was that when police would be called, apparently it was only police or something, or they were gonna have you guys have a decibel meter or something.
No, we couldn't
They
do
never
that.
had
The attorney, the attorney.
That's what we-
In fact, the way the resolution reads, the resolution talks about, it has to be clearly audible, at 150 feet, okay, by a police officer. And it has to be, annoying, it's basically a discretionary thing too, okay? As far as the officer identifying that it would be annoying and unreasonable to a normal person.
I remember that being discussed, but I didn't know what the final outcome was. That's what they were gonna look into. I live out here in Harlingen just last weekend, they had it, but I think everybody around my area has come to the conclusion that number one, it's a business, hopefully less government dictating what businesses can do. Also, it depends which way the wind's blowing, we've come to live with that, and when they have those concerts, it's for benefits, for specific charities. So we sort of like roll with the punches, but also, I can understand how loud it can get, because even over at the VI. So, and also Centennial, depending on which way the wind's blowing, we can also get a free concert.
Whether you like the music or not,
Centennial
yes.
Quarters, so.
Well, John, can I ask you to meet with the owners of the Village Inn and to get their live music schedule or their schedule for, patio events, whether it be karaoke or live music, and bring that back to the board, and let's take a look at what they're doing, and, maybe we can put some restrictions on them. I don't know legally what we're allowed to do, but we will
Well, again, I'm not
certainly-
asking that they don't ever do it. I'm just saying, just like with the Harley, they schedule it, for special occasions and things. That's one issue. But when it's done on Wednesday and Thursday night, and then it's done on Saturday and Sunday, every single week between March and October, there was an old board here, and I can't even remember the guys' names that were on here, but, Treese, Doc Treese?
Yeah.
He lived over off of Whiteford Road, and I used to sit at the end of his driveway with a radio blaring. Now, I can't do that without him getting called and me getting hauled away, okay? But he didn't want to listen to that. But he thought it was fair for me to have to listen to that. I don't think that's fair. You can't have a double standard here. It's one thing if it's a special party going on and it's done once a month or something, but to do it weekend and week out, and it doesn't end at 10 o'clock, and when I call and say, the police always tell me, we have an ordinance, we can't do anything until 10 o'clock. And so I call it 10:15, and they'll say, well, we'll go over. Well, they don't stop. They play until midnight. When I have my grandchildren staying the evenings with me on the weekends, do you think they can go to sleep upstairs? Because the higher you go, the higher the noise goes. They can't go to sleep until 1 o'clock when they're done over there. That's not right.
All I know is what my officers tell me, and specifically, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, Sergeant Judge talked to me extensively about this, and he told me that he sat in the bank right here across the street and could barely hear it when it was going on.
Well, you know what, and I've asked them.
Out here at 10:30.
I have asked them to meet me. I have asked them to meet me. I have sat there and had your dispatcher on the phone with me, and she can't hear me. And then the policemen come and tell me, well, gee, they don't think it's that loud. Come on.
Okay, well,
I have had the Sylvania police come over and stand on my patio and say, you're right. How do you listen to that weekend after weekend after weekend? I said, I don't. I leave. I have to leave in order to have any peace and
Their
quiet.
response is going to be very different because the business is not in the township, and it's very easy for them to side with you on that. okay? They don't have to do the.
They don't have a reason to, and I understand what you're saying with the enforcement. That's why I'm asking you people to do something about this. There has to be something that can be
restrictions that
done.
we're bound by, and we are going to look into it, and, we will see if there's anything we can do, and we will try to work with the owners, first off, on trying to get an amicable resolution.
They're non-workable, okay?
Well, I'm not
they
going to
have
comment
been
on that,
here-
I have not tried to yet, so.
They have been here with meetings with me in the past, and their opinion is they pay their tax dollars, and they want to do what they want to do to pull in money to get over there and drink. That's what their goal is. They don't care about the people that are surrounding them here.
Just a clarification, are you saying that if it's inside, they play the music inside, even though the porch is open, it's not nearly as bad?
They've never played, the Village Inn is not big enough for a band to be inside the building. Ever since the band has started, they never had music there before until they put the porch on. And when they put the porch on, then they put the band out there because that's what they needed to draw the business. It draws the motorcycle people, it draws people that want to sit there and drink and think they can sing on a Thursday night when, believe me, they can't sing.
Ma'am, we understand your concerns, and we
I'm going to ask that you get back to me, because I can tell you, over 13 years, nobody ever gets back to me.
Well, it sounds like you stay in pretty good communication with the employees of the township, and we hope to, we can't always correct a situation like this. We ought to work with everybody involved, but we will certainly express your concerns and see if we can't come to a resolution that everyone's happy with.
Well, I'd like it cut down to once a month, is what I'm asking. Once a month, they can have, a Saturday night or something. But they don't need to be doing it every weekend.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Okay. I guess that brings us to the stormwater utility discussion.
Correct. And just a follow-up, I will contact the Village Inn. I will also work with the fire zoning chief, John Burrell, get all the information that we need and see what remedies there are.
And I have a hard time believing that if our fire department went over there and the number of occupants was in violation, that they wouldn't do something. And I know other than that, there's no very clear right or wrong, but, let's look into as many channels as we can and see what we can do about it.
Right. Well, I'll take care of that and get back to you.
Thank you. That's what was indicated. Yes. Well, let's start this stormwater thing. Okay. Well, first, I would like to make a few comments. Kevin, I am very disappointed in how this has been handled.
Okay.
We've discussed this with the county on multiple occasions, starting back with the previous board entered into this contract on May 20th, 2009. In February, they gave us a book that had the rates and outlined the proposal and the permit that's going to take place. In March, we met as a board and as a township and discussed the subject, and they gave us more information and revisions and a cost breakdown. In April, they spoke at the Lucas County Township Association and gave us details of the plan and presented it to this board as well. On May 10th, they voted to enter into this, to establish the rates. And at our last meeting, which was May 17th, was it?
That was May 17th.
We voted or made comment that we were going to have a special meeting on this subject. And I do find it ironic that you're out in the media blasting the county for their poor communications when you have not communicated one thing to the members of this board. I have not seen one thing in writing. You have mentioned in passing and stuff that you've got everything taken care of, but I'm faced with having, listening to WSPD and you're on there making comments like the other two board members won't go along with this because they want to look good, when I've got nothing to look at. Kevin, it's online, it's a fact. I wish you would stop lying.
I'm not lying. Number one, you're a liar. If you want to start calling people a liar, let's call liars. Number one, you have never attended one meeting about stormwater. I've been very polite to you all this time, and I'm tired of it. I've gone to all the stormwater meetings, I've been to hearings, I've gone to see what's going on, I've checked out my stuff. You've never done your homework one time on anything.
Mr. Haddad.
No, let me finish now.
Here is...
You show up.
Here is
you just got paperwork, you haven't been to anything.
I don't need to go there and shoot my mouth off like you do.
No, you're right, because you know what, you don't care about your taxpayer and their dollars. Let's just go with the county is what you said.
Mr. Haddad.
I think the county did their homework. The county wants money. The county needs money to do projects. Stormwater compliance is only $200 application fee with the EPA, and they come out and test our waters. We have no control what comes in our township from everybody else. We have control
Mr.
of what's going
Haddad,
on.
our purpose is not to criticize the county. What we're here to do is hear your plan. And since you have nothing, we're putting it off for another week. Where is something in writing? Show me one piece of paper that you have that shows this is even possible.
You said that you want me to give it to you in writing, I'll give it to you in writing, because next week's our meeting with the people, and if you don't want to show up, don't show up.
Mr. Haddad, 3 weeks ago, we said we'd have a special meeting. Now you're asking for another week, but in that 3-week time, you thought it appropriate to run out to the Blade, and they did a front page article on you. You went to Channel 13, you went to Channel 11, and you've been on WSPD multiple times.
I didn't come here to watch an argument between you two.
Hey, this isn't a public meeting for open discussion.
It's my money you're spending, it's public. Now, if you guys want to talk civilly,
Mr. Bomey,
fine.
would you please tell him to refrain from comment at this time?
Number one, you have no idea what this involves.
Either do you, unfortunately.
Can you let me finish for once? Number two, I do know what's going on. I have met with the EPA on several occasions. I know the mandates.
Who is the name? You've never given us a name. You've never given us any information that backs up anything you've said here.
I went with our administrator. He could back me up on that one. John, did we go out and meet?
We went to Bowling Green and met a woman by the name of Lynette. I don't know her last name.
Okay. And we sat down, and she's the one in charge of the whole thing. And we sat down, we spoke to her about what we need to be in compliance. This is about money going to the county, and the money the county's going to take is going to be used in projects around the county, because the county's almost broke on that level. They need it in the engineer's office. Mr. Hoffman worked on 10 Mile Creek. That was part of their projects that they were going to do, and they said, well, if you've already done that, we'll do $35,000 a year and just maintaining to keeping it clean. Number two, they said, well, your other ditches work's been done, I guess, too, so we really don't need to spend much money there. They just need money to spend anywhere they want to spend it, hire a couple more people in the county, and it's going to be 45% of it's our money. I believe that since if you're talking about keeping the waterways flowing, we can do that very well with our own money, with less than $500,000 a year if we collect our own money. The money that I had estimated was $25 a year per household.
Mr. Haddad, I've heard enough of your rhetoric and talk.
Then you know
what I want to see from you, I'm out of here. What I want to see...
I don't want to see anything. There's a meeting next week, 1 o'clock. She's going to be here.
There isn't a meeting unless I call it, and unless you sit down and have this discussion...
No, I'm not going to let you be rude to me anymore. I'm tired of it.
I'm trying to discuss this subject.
Decent, amicable.
Okay, look, this is the good thing. Kev, we're going to have,
First and foremost, I think this discussion needs to be here, and that's why I waited. I didn't call the WSPD after you ran your mouth.
You should. You always do anyways.
Can I say something here, guys? If I
Go
could?
ahead, please. Like to.
Let's...
Before I get really upset.
Okay, let's do this. I'm speaking for myself. I appreciate your effort. I appreciate all you're doing to get this. I guess I concur with John. We've not seen any numbers. I look forward to seeing the numbers next week and the business plan that's in place. And you know, let's go from there.
To expand on that a little bit more, what I would like to see is the requirements to form a district. Would you take some notes, please, or something?
There is.
No, wait. This is what I want to see, because we can't vote on an idea. This is a great idea you have, but it's not a plan.
idea.
Well, let me just tell you what we need in order to move forward. We need the requirements to form a district, an outline of the withdrawal process from the county's coalition, that would include a timeline and any associated costs. I would like something in writing from the county that would tell us that they will let us out of this, because I have not seen that yet, and it has been debated amongst people. And will they be charging us for services rendered, since we've been in this contract now for a few years? I would also like an outline of the EPA requirements and the steps associated with getting us into compliance, and make it as detailed as possible with the cost and resources that will be needed for each of them. And if there is a fee, how will we collect the fee? And I would also like to address any potential fines and penalties associated if we're not in compliance with your proposal.
Number one, there's a $200 fee.
Well, I'd like to see something in writing, Mr. Haddad. I'm tired of, rhetoric and...
Mr. Zeitler gave you an application form that we received from the EPA. If you had read it, you would have understood what it takes to be in compliance.
I'm not a stormwater expert. That's why I let the officials do it. Maybe they teach a lot more in barber school than I thought.
No, you're not much of an expert of anything. You're the one who wants to be on the board for the Ohio plan, and you're working trustee.
Okay, come on, guys. Let's wait. Hold on.
Well, we can talk about that some other time.
Yeah, wait. We're going on the wrong direction here. Let's try to go. Let's try to go back.
Let's get it in writing, and we can move forward with it.
I think that's fair. Let's get the business plan put together. I mean, the county's been working on this for over 6 years. They've got, my only problem with this is that I know you've been on the board for you've been active with TMACOG, and I've been on this just my short time since I've been on the township, and the first I started hearing about this was the media. And I guess all I ask for you guys, and you mentioned your editorial yesterday about communication, and I think if you're able to communicate with us a little bit further behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, but publicly, of course, but so we're not...
Communicate with us first.
Yes, and I think that's kind of what we were trying to do last month. And then when I see some of the timelines that John mentioned, I wrote one in particular that came to mind was when the Blade article at 6.3, when, you've been on this was the first I'd heard that you weren't even interested in this, and we could have been discussing this a long time ago, and I wish as a member of the TMACOG, you'd have been coming back to us, providing us the information and some of your concerns, being the last 2 years active with TMACOG, who's active with the stormwater. So that's my only issue there.
I know that's a Stormwater Coalition, and that only does the region. They do the region of Northwest Ohio, which that's what I said, where we should be putting our money into something like that, letting them maintain it and not giving it to the county. Once we're in the county, I'm sure you guys all received a letter from Doug Beat, who was totally against my garbage plan. Number one, once we're in this with the county, it's going to be like Tarda. We'll never get out.
Let's just do this.
Well, the fact that they're willing to even possibly look at letting us out now shows you it's not a contract that was constructed like Tarda that makes it, that all members have to agree to let somebody out. It's not written anywhere like that.
This is now before we get into the utility. Once you're in a utility, you're in the utility. It's not like that isn't saying you can opt out after the utility's formed.
I mean, we're under contract.
I'm looking forward to seeing the plan. I've reviewed a lot of this.
I'll have it all for you next week at the 1 o'clock meeting.
It'll be great. And I hope, I hope it's, saves the townships.
That's the thing. I got an email from Doug Beat telling me he wishes I wasn't opposed to it. And I keep saying there's nothing out there to be for or against. You've provided nothing, Kevin, but cheap talk.
There's paper there. You should read it.
I've read it all, and from what I understand, that we don't have the resources to do this ourselves.
Because you're not a hairdresser, you don't understand
it. Let's just get the plan together, guys.
Maybe not.
Let's move on.
Now, in fairness, I will allow Penny to speak because this has been an issue that's been close to her, and we bounced it around on the agenda, and it has been added several times at the very...
So she's the only one who can speak?
Well...
I mean, really.
Okay.
Is she something special? I don't think so.
No.
I think she's special.
No, and I'm not either, but I should have my turn too.
Do we want to open it up for more?
We're going to let the public speak.
Okay.
Let all the public
speak.
I just want to clear something up really quick.
We'll give each, anybody who wants to say something, 3 minutes.
Thank you. All right.
Please sign in. Benny, you're already signed in, I think.
I think you're special.
Penny Levine, 3753 Her Road. First of all, guys, TMACOG was put together for water quality, handling, that kind of thing. Needless to say, Stormwater Advisory Committee, Stormwater District, which came out of that, was because in
order to please the EPA, which deals with quality, our problem here, and has been for many years, has been quantity. So therefore, that is why this program, a stormwater district, is in the early stages of birth. The problem, and probably the possibility as to why it would not work out, depending on when Mr. Haddad gets his figures together, is the $50,000 that was spent on the initial cleanup during, right before election of '09, which, let me tell you, does help, because we were the stopper in the bathtub for many years with all of the water coming down the 10 Mile Creek. The removal of some of those blockages did work, as I've stressed, along with not only the cleanup, also a maintenance program. Sitting as a member on the Stormwater Committee for the county, which I was asked to do so, because of the work that I've done on this cleanup of the 10 Mile Creek and the other tributaries that dump into it, I was asked to sit on that as a representative for Savannah City and the township, even though the city has its own water district to begin with, just as Toledo. We and other townships had nothing. And excuses where it's not our responsibility, that kind of thing, dial 211 when people had water in and out of their homes and cars floating. Therefore, that's how this was started. That's why groups from other townships sat down together, addressing our problems, trying to come up with some kind of a system through the county, which we, from these areas, were asked by the county to form this committee. We've all voiced our opinions. We've worked on this now for almost 4 years, held off on implementing anything because of the economy and Springfield's situation with, lack of money for sheriff, that's such as that. But it's time, to move forward. It was $4 per household or square footage of 5,500 feet of impervious space or less. The big cost of any such project, such as this, whether you do it alone or you're part of a water district, is the EPA, the NPDES, okay, which there are 6 control issues that any entity that is part of this or stands alone is responsible for carrying out these control issues that are mandated by the EPA. You have to please them. You have to do what their control issues are, or we will be fined the brunt of it, and not the $25,000 a day that the county will be responsible for if they do not follow the 6 control issues. Then the lower side, the $4, as I said, okay, a month for the 5,500 or less, is something then that gets taxed for, call it the work, the physical work of the clean out, according to that district. There are credit programs available for those businesses, homeowners, any kind of commercial property that has blacktop, that kind of thing on it, that's an impermeable surface that people can apply for, okay? And also there's credits, depending on you put ponds in, that please the EPA the way their scope of work requires.
Penny, I want to cut you off there, that's 10
Yes.
minutes. I do want to thank you for the time and energy that you've spent on this, and obviously, you're a wealth of information on this subject, and we look forward to working with you until we get something that...
But I know it's contentious on what is happening.
Yes.
Communication is the best vehicle, needless to say. I know everybody wants to try and save taxpayer money. I do too. We all live here in the township, so it's all coming out of our pocket also. But something has to be done. This has been, a joint effort with the other townships. We can't continue to ignore it.
I agree.
So,
As a township that has been
and
plagued
I'm not
with
sure
flooding
that
issues
they
and
can handle this.
things, I think it's important that we get it covered. And again, I appreciate your input and look forward to working with you.
Now, you said that there's a public meeting being held, or what?
We're going to announce it at the end of this meeting here. It's going to be June 14th at 1 p.m.
Okay.
That's when the EPA can make it.
And that's a special meeting?
Special meeting.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Do we have anybody else that signed it? Mr. Hayes?
Okay, now that we got the cat fight out on the done, I don't appreciate sometimes the way you go about it, Kevin. I gotta tell you, I don't do business like that. and I think you need to communicate more. But I don't think that's the root of the problem. The root of the problem that I have is I worry about us spending money. So when I hear your side of it, sounds pretty good, and then I hear some of their side of it, and, you know, as a taxpayer, I'm not informed. I don't know about that, and Penny is very special when it comes to that. She does know a lot about that. But when I look at all this money, and I say, well, hey, City of Sylvania does it, you know, don't we have the wherewithal to do it ourselves? So I think we have to be more cohesive up there, and, you know, let's let bygones be bygones, and really look at these things, what's good for the township, and really research this. That's all I'm saying. I want to be informed, but just as a citizen, it's hard to be informed because you don't have these avenues to find out all this stuff all the time. That's all I wanted to say.
It's not that I agree or disagree with you guys. I just want to see us get the best deal. And if we can do it ourselves, I want to make sure we researched it to do it that way.
Well, that's what our intention is with the public meeting on this, you know, is to get it out there. But I have a hard time when somebody accuses me of not being for it because I want to look good when I'm all for saving our residents money. I'm all for doing the right, responsible thing. But everything that I've seen indicates that we can't do this on our own. And it's certainly the time frame that's been laid out in the media. And that causes me concern that, you know, the residents are basing their assumptions on catchphrases like, we can do this cheaper, but yet I haven't seen a number. We can do this easier, but yet I haven't seen a plan. We can do this, but I haven't seen a timeline. So it's those types of things that I'm waiting for, that I can put the dots together and say, you know what, Mr. Haddad was correct in all this stuff, and I want to move it forward. But until I see something in writing, I can't vote on anything.
I agree with that statement. I'm not saying you were wrong with that statement at all. I think we need to get the facts out there, and that's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Just one comment myself now back is when I looked at the county's plans on what they're doing in Sylvania Township for the next 3 years on their agenda, the total was $280,000 for the township. So if we're collecting $500,000 a year for the next 3 years till 2014, we're going to have plenty of money to take care of all the stuff that they were going to do for us during that time span for $1 million almost a year for the 3 years.
And one other comment I have.
And I saw the plan.
And I'm not saying I don't trust the county, but the problem is there was just on the news that I heard as a citizen that the recyclables, you know, they're doing more with that than they are with garbage, so now they want to charge us $2 a ton for the landfill. Can't they spell layoffs, you know? And I see you guys take over the county with our lawyers and stuff to save money. I sit on the joint board for, how do I sit on there? Zoning appeals. We've been waiting 6 months for them, and we've been all over them. And I just had a conversation with our zoning guy. They're not doing their job. They're doing what they want to do. So I think we need to look into that now that it's on the table. I think we need to take hold of our township and do what is right. And maybe it will be a little bit more costly. But maybe in the long run it won't be. I don't know. I just want to see us as taxpayers not go the other way. Like, I read 4 newspapers a day, and I'll shut up. I'm done. I read 4 newspapers a day. All the other townships and cities are going broke. We're lucky.
We are.
We can go the other way real quick.
Very quick.
I think we have one more.
Yes. Norm? I would, Al, in the future, if you have difficulties getting in touch with our attorneys, please let a trustee know. I think we've been very satisfied with our legal work here. We've cut our legal bills probably down 80% in the last year. So, and I've been very pleased with the level of service they've given us, but if you're not getting the service as a zoning appeals person, please let us know.
And I appreciate this open forum. I would ask Mr. DeWitt right now, how many times he's asked and how long does it take to get this reading, and the board is starting to look like buffoons because we can't take minutes, we can't say this, we can't say anything. They're putting a muzzle on us because somebody down in the county hasn't given Mr. DeWitt the stuff. Is that a true statement or not, Mr. DeWitt?
Well, let's stick to the stormwater tonight. I just wanted to make a comment because it was brought up.
I got a big list to give.
Norm,
My turn?
please.
I'm here only because, first of all, my name is Norm Koenigsecker. I actually live in a city about half a block from here, and I'm here for two reasons. One, I read the article in the paper about stormwater, and two, John and I are fellow Rotarians, and we discussed this problem earlier. I'm here because of a couple things. One, I'm a registered professional engineer. I've been practicing in Ohio for 27 years. I've been an engineer for 45. And I was on the City of Toledo's Stormwater Utility Committee 11 years ago when they put it together. So none of this is new to me. It's a bit stale, but it's not new. The reason that I'm here is to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to offer my services gratis as an engineer, as a professional, as somebody with a little experience in this, to see what I could do to help. I don't have any agenda. I have a brother that lives in the township. He's about 4 or 5 miles down Brent Road, and he's very happy out there. He's been here 25 years. I've been in the city for 10. And I want to do what's best for the township and the city and this whole region myself. That's it. I did give John my file. It's probably, about 90 pages.
Yes.
And I was, when the city of Toledo was going through this, I worked, I still do, for the University of Toledo, and at that time I was in charge of all of the construction and capital projects on campus. That's why I was on the committee. And this idea about impervious surfaces and so forth is very true. University of Toledo has over 7 million square feet of impervious surfaces, so it's very important to them to get credits. So I do understand the credits problem as well. So I'm just offering my services. If you want them, I'll do what I can to help.
Norm, in your professional opinion, could we get this done by the end of the year?
I couldn't answer that without seeing a plan, actually, my biggest concern of everything that I've heard about this so far is I need a better definition of what the problem is.
I can tell you, Norm, that there really is no problem, and the compliance is basically Toledo got us all in the trouble in the first place by letting raw sewage get in the creek over by Swan Creek over there.
Okay.
So when that got in trouble, that's where they're in compliance. They got fined over so many millions of dollars. Now Mike Bell's out of money. He went to city council to ask him for another 12% increase on the stormwater end to cover the liability with the EPA. We have no issues with the EPA. I spoke on end with Lynette after John and I's meeting with her, and she's told me, she goes, you have no problems with the EPA. All we do is check out, make sure nobody's doing illegal discharge like ProPac dumped gallons of ink, but it was biodegradable, so they didn't get fined for it. They got fined a small portion for the cleanup. But other than that, we aren't having any problems that we need to be giving the county this kind of money for them to do projects in Jerusalem, Washington and these other areas. And I said, coalition is a group of people together, not let's just spread around the U.S. We'll do Maine and we'll do California, I just don't think that's right and fair.
Well, that's a good observation. And when I read the first article, that was my concern as well. When you look at Jerusalem Township and other townships that have more waterways than Sylvania Township does, I was wondering, is this really a fair trade-off?
You're right.
But again, I don't have the total picture, and I don't know what it almost sounds like you got a solution looking for a problem, but I don't know that. So I'm offering my services if you want them, at gratis. That's it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we have a special meeting scheduled for June 14th at 1 p.m. where we will hopefully see something in writing for the plan that is to be rolled out for the township.
Okay.
And with that, I would like, do we need to go into executive session?
Yes, we do, but the next item on the agenda is a police officer hearing. That matter has been resolved, so we will not need to do that at this time. I am requesting an executive session for purchase and sale of property, fire station number 2, and purchase of land for fire station number 1, and also personnel matters at the police department. And is there anything else? No, I think that's just the 2 items.
Okay, then I will offer a motion to go into executive session to discuss the purchase of property for public use and for human resource matters regarding the police department.
Also the sale.
And the sale of properties as well.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Think you need Mr. Bowman in there?